Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Astral Pet Store. Author by Ancient She. Audio novels by Novelist. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 91. Acceptance. Exhibition match. Luo Guxu had just returned from the barren area. Su Ping's answer reminded her that such an event had taken place that day. The feeling of satisfaction triggered by their encounter quickly vanished. She was disappointed. She had thought that Su Ping had accepted her invitation to become a teacher. After all, the vice principal was there to see him out in person, and they were talking happily. At the same time, she was confused. Usually, no outsiders were invited to the exhibition match. Only students and their families could participate. What is Su Ping doing here? Dongming Song asked with surprise. Mrs. Luo, do you know him? Luo Guxu came back to her senses and nodded. Mr. Su saved my life. Thanks to Mr. Su's timely rescue I was able to come back from the barren area. The uncultivated area. Dongming Song was baffled and so were the others including Feng Bailey. They looked at each other and then cast their glances at Su Ping. This guy had visited the barren area. What did it mean when Luo Guxu said he went to her rescue? They weren't familiar with Luo Guxu. That being said, Luo Guxu was the main member of Team Polaris, and they knew each other. If Luo Guxu, who was at the intermediate position of the 7th rank, was in danger, then only a battle pet warrior at the peak of the 7th rank or the 8th rank could have helped her. How could Su Ping save her? Tell me, what is that about? Dongming Song asked, curious. The others darted glances of curiosity at her as well. For all this time, Luo Guxu had been grateful to Su Ping for this matter. She told them about how they had been attacked by the magical corpse beast. At the end of the story, she expressed her gratitude to Su Ping once more. Mr. Su, I will gladly repay your kind help. You can come to me for anything you may need me for. Su Ping was speechless. He could have made a quick escape, he just wanted to go back home. However, when Luo Guxu told the story, he couldn't just cut her off. Being under the heated and shocked gazes of those present, he felt he was a gorilla of a rare kind. He said with a bitter smile, well, you guys go on. When you're free, come to my store but please remember to take enough money with you. The others came back to their senses but they were still stunned. Su Ping, who was most likely around the age of 20, could defeat a magical corpse beast. Really, not to mention that the magical corpse beast was one that had learned 9th rank pet skills. Didn't this practically imply that Su Ping was not weaker than him? They didn't doubt Luo Guxu's words. After all, she had her pride and fame. She didn't need to make up a story and lie to them. Simply put, this matter was astonishing, and unimaginably queer. Su Ping had the age of a student. It was rare to achieve what Yi Hao and Su Yanying had accomplished at this age. If everything went on smoothly, in the future, those two could become advanced battle pet warriors, even becoming 8th rank master battle pet warriors would be possible. However, Su Ping had already reached that level when he was about their age. If Yi Hao was called a talent, then what was Su Ping? A freak. While everyone was still numbed by shock, Su Yanying fixed her eyes on Su Ping. She couldn't reconcile the image of this young store owner who idled away in his store all day long with that powerful warrior, one that could kill a magical corpse beast at the upper position of the 8th rank. Su Yanying knew that Su Ping was mysterious and most likely there was a master trainer in his pet store. She was willing to believe when someone told her that he was a talent. That being said, with the strength to kill a magical corpse beast of the upper position of the 8th rank, he was more than a talent. He was a mature, powerful warrior that could take charge by himself. To become such a strong man, in addition to talent, their efforts were also extremely important. Yet, the way Su Yanying saw Su Ping was that it seemed he just squandered time at the store, single-mindedly trying to make money. How could someone like him be this strong? Noticing that Su Ping was about to leave, Luo Guxu said in a hurry, Mr. Su, last time, I mentioned about you coming here as a teacher. What do you think? Su Ping answered, well, I'm still thinking. Dongming Song was stunned. Luo Guxu had invited Su Ping to come as a teacher. Given Luo Guxu's identity as an advanced teacher, she did have such a right. Dongming Song blushed as he remembered how he had invited Su Ping to become a student. Su Ping was someone that could kill an 8th rank monster. If he were a student there, who would have the right to mentor him? Secretly, he gave Luo Guxu a look of praise. She acted fast, a true testament that he was the one who trained her. Mr. Su, I'm sorry if I have offended you. Dongming Song put on a smile at once to help Luo Guxu. I didn't know that you were so brave and heroic. We have been wrong about your strength. Please forgive us. Mr. Su, if you're interested in becoming one of our teachers, I'm more than happy to see that happen. Given your strength, you can become an advanced teacher in this academy, just like Mrs. Luo. I will make sure that the treatment is to your satisfaction. Honestly, Su Ping was intrigued. He had been hesitating about this offer. So, he questioned, what are the benefits? Dongming Song smiled. He had seen this young man through. He was just a punk that would be bent solely on profit. Talking business with a guy like this was easy as long as the benefits were enough. Someone self-conceited and insolent on account of talent would be troublesome to deal with considering personal quirks. Oh, there are quite many benefits. For example, the advanced training method for astral power in the collection of the academy, some advanced battle pet skills, and some potions with special effects. Besides, you will be qualified to join some of the auctions. The items sold at those auctions aren't even found at the explorers' warehouses. There's no harm to have a few more identities, Dongming Song persuaded Su Ping with a kind smile. After hearing this, Su Ping became interested. He had to admit that Dongming Song had gone straight to the point, as if he clearly knew what he desired. Su Ping asked, what do you need me to do? This was kind of a silly question. However, since Su Ping had put forward this question, there had to be a specific meaning. Dongming Song picked up the cue at once. An advanced teacher has an easy job. You don't have to go to class to give lectures every day. You can just teach one class per week. The rest of the time will be up to you. It's very free. You can tell this from how Mrs. Luo handles herself. She is invested in exploring uncultivated lands. That should be regarded as her main responsibility. Luo Guxu forced a smile and said, Vice Principal, don't make fun of me. Su Ping didn't know that the job would be this easy. He thought about it and nodded. I see no problem, then. Dongming Song was overjoyed. Good. I will prepare the contract for you right away. From now on, Mr. Su, you will be an advanced teacher in our academy. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 92. Revealing the Truth. Feng Bailey and the others standing by the side were speechless. Inside, they called Dongming Song an old fox. What was done couldn't be undone. Nothing they could say could change that fact. They were jealous of how fortunate Dongming Song was. Given Su Ping's talents and abilities, his future achievements would be unlimited, provided he didn't die an early death. It was most likely that he could become a titled battle pet warrior. By then, the academy could boast about how they had a teacher with titles giving lectures there. This alone could enable the Phoenix Peak Academy to rise by 1 or 2 ranks amongst the 7 famous schools in the base city. This was a long-term plan. Luo Guxu was happy since Su Ping had agreed. This way, she and Su Ping would be co-workers and she could meet him in the future. Xuanhuan had become numb to this shocking news. The information revealed by Su Ping was increasingly surprising. She had become immune to this. He had the strength to kill monsters of the 8th rank, which made him more than capable to be an advanced teacher. She just didn't expect that Su Ping, who she had been dealing with as her equal, had become her teacher, and of the most advanced level no less. Yi Hao and the other students would be boiling with anger once they learned of this. After all, Su Ping was too young. It would be logical for him to be a junior fellow student. But now, he was going to teach her. Xuanhuan's mouth twitched at the thought. All of a sudden, she felt lucky that she was in grade 3 and about to graduate. Otherwise, if she would have to face such a young teacher every day, with such a daily reminder, all her confidence would be lost. Feng Bailey and the others bade farewell since they had nothing else to do there. He was once again invited by Dongming Song. Su Ping returned to his office with Luo Guxu with Su Yanning following them silently. They sat down on the sofa. With quite the zeal, Dongming Song poured Su Ping a cup of tea and then handed him the contract his assistant had printed out. Su Ping could feel Dongming Song's passion and sincerity. After a careful read of the contract and without finding any issues, Su Ping signed it. Dongming Song put away the contract and said with a smile, "Mr. Su, you can begin your lessons next week." "Of course." Su Ping nodded. Dongming Song went on, "I will have someone register your information at once. But it will be a few days before you can have your ID." Su Ping was in no rush. He had another question: when and where can I have a look at the advanced cultivation methods and skills for battle pet warriors? "In the Academy's second library." Dongming Song continued, smiling, "You can go there at any time, even right now. But since you don't have your teacher's ID yet, if you want to go, I will let those in charge know you'll go there." It was getting darker. Su Ping didn't wish to visit at the moment. There was cultivation and other things he had to do. He could wait for a couple more days. After they exchanged some pleasantries, Su Ping left the building. Not long afterward, he had reached the stadium. From the distance, he could already see the glaring and flickering colorful lights above the stadium. The paths on the campus were crowded with students. The matches had come to an end. People were exiting the stadium at the moment, therefore, every corner of the campus was filled with students. Su Yanning followed him. She looked up at Su Ping from behind and asked, "Do you want to go to the stadium to advertise some more?" Su Ping shook his head. "No, the vice principal's promotion is enough for me." He was worried about being potentially unable to find enough time for training pets if too many students approached him. After all, he was just one person. There was no one to help him. The only thing he could do was to train several pets at the same time, but that would be too much pressure on his spirit. Su Yanning walked Su Ping out of the campus. After Su Ping left, Su Yanning turned around quietly. However, her mind was unable to settle down. It was late. Su Ping called a taxi and went home directly. He didn't want to bother going back to the store. There wasn't much of a business at the moment. No promotion could generate an effect that quickly. He got out of the taxi and went inside. His mother was watching TV in the living room. That arrogant sister of his was nowhere to be seen. Most likely she was still at school. Li Qingru was surprised by Su Ping's early return. Li Qingru asked nervously, "How come you're home so early? Has anything happened to the store?" "No. I went to watch her match. Then I came back directly from her school," Su Ping answered. The truth would be revealed when his sister returned anyways. "You went to see your sister's match?" Li Qingru was taken aback. She didn't think that Su Ping would care about this. Usually, he wouldn't go even if she asked. Su Ping felt embarrassed. "What's with your tone?" Li Qingru rolled her eyes at him grumpily and posed another question, "Why did you come back alone? Where's your sister?" Su Ping found an excuse. She wanted to hang out for a bit longer. "You too." Li Qingru was speechless. "Are you hungry? If not, wait for your sister to come back." "Okay." Su Ping agreed. He was just about to go upstairs when he sensed that presence. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He walked back from the staircase and then went to the living room to sit down. He began to watch TV with keen pleasure. The door was opened. It was Su Lingyu that stepped in. Her eyes opened wide the moment she saw Su Ping sitting on the couch. "Why are you here? Did you come directly from the school?" "What? Should I have taken a detour?" Su Lingyu scolded him. "Why didn't you go to the store?" Su Ping was surprised. "How did you know I wasn't there?" "Because I waited for you there for a long time," said Su Lingyu, fuming with rage. Her exhibition match had ended long before. After the conclusion of the exhibition match between the third year's first and second place, she wanted to find Su Ping at once to ask him about everything. However, Su Ping had been dragged away by the school leaders with Su Yanning. She couldn't find a chance to search for Su Ping, so she had to leave school by herself. She called a taxi and headed to the store. She thought that since it was only after 7 once the matches were over, Su Ping would have to go back to the store. There were some matters Su Lingyu wished to discuss with him in private. At home, their mum would be able to hear their conversation. Only, she waited there for 2 hours. She saw it was late and went home, only to see Su Ping was already there. You waited for me? Su Ping asked while knowing the answer. He added with confusion on his face, why were you waiting for me? Su Lingyu ground her teeth with hatred. What do you think? How should I know? Su Lingyu stared at him. Do you have astral power? There was no concealing the truth. So, Su Ping nodded and admitted it readily. Really? Su Lingyu's pupils contracted. She only realized this possibility when she saw how Su Ping was the first to be freed from the frigid brine. The likelihood of someone awakening later in life was slim, but there would always be someone lucky and favored by heaven. It was just that God had been too blind and blessed her despicable brother by mistake. Li Qingru was startled. She could not help but ask, what did you just say? Do you have astral power? Have you awakened? Filled with nervousness and excitement, Li Qingru was shivering. Even though the achievement that came with acquired awakening was limited, he was a battle pet warrior nonetheless. He could support himself no matter how lousy his life may turn out to be. Su Ping scratched his head. It was by accident. It has been some time. Su Lingyu squinted her eyes. He had awakened some time before. So, did this guy play dumb all this time? Was he showing weakness to endure hardships so that he could accomplish some ambition? Good. This is good. Li Qingru was so happy that her eyes reddened. She was shedding tears. She wiped her tears away quickly and said, we have to tell your father about this piece of good news. Anyways, do you have a pet? You have awakened too late in life. You must buy a quality pet. I will go to the market myself tomorrow to pick a pet for you, one with good quality and power of understanding. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 93. Playing with Fire. Su Ping was once again touched by his mother's kindness. He smiled. You shouldn't make long walks, Mum, leave it to me. I have a pet anyway. We run a pet shop, remember? I can switch to a new one each day if I want. Li Qingru chuckled. You're kidding. What kind of pet warrior uses different pets every day? What is your current pet? The shop doesn't have any good ones in stock. Su Lingyu also pricked up her ears to listen. Since Su Ping had become a battle pet warrior, he was slowly catching up to her. She preferred to stay cautious, to prevent her miserable childhood from repeating. It's an undead type. Decent aptitude, I'd say. Just a little below average. Undead. Li Qingru looked surprised, because not many people liked their horrible looks, even though they usually fought pretty well. What exactly is it? Su Lingyu thought that his brother had developed a fondness for this kind of creature due to her constant horror pranks. This guy had even blown a kiss to a ghost the other day, giving her the creeps instead. Shit. Maybe I should use different ways to spook him each day, she thought. I can't let him catch some odd fetish. It's a small skeleton. Su Ping had no choice but to say something under Li Qingru's demand. A skeleton. Li Qingru almost cried again. Oh dear. You really should have told your mum earlier, about your awakening. I'd get you a better pet even if I need to get a loan. You can't be a pet warrior using a skeleton. Su Lingyu felt her earlier anxiety gone all of a sudden. Hey, Mum, he can't use a better pet at his current state anyway. You don't find many advanced battle pet warriors out of late awakeners. If you ask me, I'd just let him find a random job at the guild. He'll earn more money than common salarymen that way. He can't get us any income at the shop anyway. Li Qingru didn't look happy to hear that. You can't say that to your brother until he tries. Yes, it's rare for such cases to be good. But awakening later in life is already a miracle. You know what? If you only consider late awakeners, they break through faster than normal awakeners. Su Lingyu couldn't keep arguing. Sulking was her only choice. Li Qingru continued, your brother has earned such a great opportunity. We shouldn't discourage him from it. Come, you should help him too. Su Lingyu didn't answer. Su Ping knew his mother cared about him, but not to such an extent. Their family wasn't really rich. It would be for the best if they pulled all their resources on Sulingyu, so they could aim at making her an advanced battle pet warrior. It was clear that Li Qingru chose to be a better mother rather than a strategist. Sis is right, Mum, Su Ping spoke in a gentle voice, don't waste money on me. We need it to treat your leg. Besides, I like my pet. I don't want another anyway. Su Lingyu raised an eyebrow at that. She thought Su Ping would use this chance to blatantly request a good pet like her phantom flame beast, since that was always how he acted since childhood. She didn't expect him to be so considerate all of a sudden. Either way, she found it necessary to judge his brother differently at this point. She removed her unpleasant look and spoke to their mother, if we must, find him a middle-rank one, Mum. We'd be lucky if he becomes a middle-rank battle pet warrior. And if he can do better than that, I'll support him with all I have. I'll give him my phantom flame beast if that's what it takes. The phantom flame beast had been her partner since she was young. Of course she didn't want to hand it to anyone else. She said so because she didn't believe Su Ping could surpass her. During her studies, she never fell out of the top 3 on the school list. Not once. She was confident. Li Qingru looked between them and sighed. I hope you two stay friendly like this. You need to help each other once I'm gone. Su Lingyu frowned. Don't be like that, Mum. I talked to my professor. I'll go to the Barrens as soon as I graduate, so I can earn merit points and buy medicines for you. Su Ping smiled. Take care of yourself for now, Mum, and don't worry about us. I'll take care of my pet. My little skeleton is pretty good. Li Qingru shook her head. Good. How good can a skeleton be? She was both glad and sad to see Su Ping being so humble, for she thought that she was responsible for his situation. She could have easily gotten Su Ping another phantom flame beast if she had kept their shop in good condition. Sigh. I'll prepare dinner. She headed to the kitchen and left the children behind. Su Lingyu glanced at his brother. I never thought you could be a good boy like this. And no, I'm not being sarcastic. I appreciate it, really. Just don't do anything stupid, all right? Becoming a battle pet warrior means nothing. No matter how you work from now on, you won't be able to actually help me with anything. It should be the opposite. If you stay careful and don't act up, I'll find some time and teach you some pet warrior skills. Su Ping felt it was extremely weird that his sister was playing the adult role. I'm the bigger one here, remember? Humph. Every man will stay childish. No exceptions. What the heck? You talk as if you've been through better. Su Lingyu's expression turned colder. Watch what you're saying. Su Ping stood up, and under his sister's threatening stare, he put a hand on her head and rubbed. Be a good sister, will you? A soft and cute girl draws more love from people. Su Lingyu was frozen for a moment. Ever since she went to the academy at the age of 12, Su Ping, or any other male, had never managed to lay a hand on her, let alone touching her head. She felt humiliated. She tried slapping Su Ping's hand away by using a small portion of her astral power so she could teach him a lesson. Such a hit would definitely leave Su Ping's hand swollen for a few days. She failed. Su Ping pulled away in time. What the? Su Lingyu clenched her teeth in rage. You're playing with fire, I'll show you. You don't say. Who's the fire? Astral Pet Store. Chapter 94. Emergency Mission. Why you? He's so shameless. Su Lingyu was beginning to find her brother was becoming cockier in her view. Previously, this guy knew how to quit after getting pummeled. He was starting to confront her. Just because he had awakened. You have no idea which rank I'm at, huh? I'm an intermediate 3rd rank battle pet warrior, while you. She channeled more astral power to give Su Ping a beating and show him who was boss. But she was stopped by Li Qingru, who just returned while holding a plate of apples. What are you doing? Su Ping smiled. It's nothing. I'm checking how good Lingyu's hair looks. Checking my what? Su Lingyu had barely managed to swallow her rage down her throat, but she felt how it was dangerously returning. Li Qingru quickly realized what was going on because this happened quite often in the family. Stop it. I just told you to be good to each other a second ago. Sorry, Mum. Su Ping lowered his head as he found his mother was truly angry. Li Qingru shook her head and turned away to continue cooking. Don't you think this is over? Su Lingyu shouted while taking the apples all to herself. Hey. Ha. Humph. They totally understood what they were talking about. Su Ping retreated to his room after dinner, while Su Lingyu didn't say anything else. Su Lingyu had planned to ask his brother about what he did at the vice president's office earlier, but she no longer felt like it, since it would make her look bad. As usual, Su Ping stayed on his bed to cultivate his astral power. The chaos star chart method was such a domineering technique that he could easily pull all the astral power existing in the environment his way. He might even stop Su Lingyu from cultivating if he wanted to. It was less than a week since he started cultivating, yet his combat strength had been improved by 0.2, reaching 3.7, which made him an upper third rank already. If he kept on, he'd become a fourth rank in the next week. Combining his solar bulwark, he was at the moment strong enough to fight off most fifth-rank monsters. Or sixth-rank ones, if he cast augmentation skills on himself. I need to get my solar bulwark to the second rank so that 8th rank and 9th ones can't kill me easily. Only then I'll be able to survive better. As someone who had witnessed the perilous threats in the barren areas, he couldn't let his guard down even if his life in the city looked peaceful. A night quickly passed. The next morning, Su Ping and Su Lingyu had breakfast while having a staring contest, before they both went on their ways without any verbal mishaps. Su Ping saw a slim-bodied lady in a long, coffee-colored overcoat looking here and there in front of his shop. Without minding her, Su Ping locked his bike to a tree using a chain to deter thieves, and went to unlock the shop. It was then that the seemingly apathetic woman suddenly gave him a surprised look. Next, the woman followed him into the shop. Something you need? Asked Su Ping, after he gave the woman a glimpse. He found her face to be a little familiar but couldn't remember her name. He wondered if she was a customer who saw his advertisement. You're the shopkeeper here. Jiang Hanbing looked at Su Ping up and down and found this man too young to run a shop. Then she remembered seeing him the day before. Su Ping nodded. That's right. Do you need your pet cared for, trained, or are you looking for pet food? You were at the academy yesterday, right? Did you train that powerful lightning rat? Su Ping was glad that the flyers he printed didn't totally go to waste. Yeah, that'll be me. Jiang Hanbing sighed in relief. She and Su Yanning used to be clear of each other's way, but ever since their classmates tended to compare them in various matters, they slowly became rivals. As Jiang Hanbing observed recently, Su Yanning had the talent, but was far from being a good trainer. Also, Su Yanning was not someone who knew how to bide her time. If she had that powerful rat all along, she would have used it way before. Using the flyer she found from a classmate, Jiang Hanbing went to that shop to see whether the rumor was true. She was expecting to see some kind of grand, beautifully decorated boutique managed by an experienced dealer, not this boy who seemed 2 years younger than herself. How long does it take to train a pet? Are you the trainer? She asked. I am. I don't have a fixed duration for training a pet. It depends on how many sessions you buy. Once all sessions are complete, I'll send word so you can pick up your pet. Sessions. Jiang Hanbing had never heard of such a training methodology before. Though it wasn't strange for reclusive masters with amazing skills to have odd protocols. 4 pets. 10 sessions each, she offered. Su Ping raised an eyebrow. You must pay independently for each session, I'm afraid. Do you have enough money on you? Jiang Hanbing was ready to hear an insane price from the shop that trained the exceptional lightning rat. How much for each session? 10,000 for low-rank pets. 100,000 for middle rank. As for advanced, sorry, I'm not accepting them for the time being. Getting the lightning rat in shape only unlocked such a level of service. If Su Ping wished to train advanced pets, he had to successfully train a middle-rank pet in the same way. That's pretty cheap, said Jiang Hanbing. Such pricing would look like a scam in ordinary pet shops, but not so much if they were talking about who trained that special rat. Su Ping's lips twitched. He was always frustrated about not being able to determine prices freely. Thankfully, the lightning rat was a special case, because the system demanded him to boost it higher. From then on, he could simply take the customer's pets to a cultivation plane and hang out for a bit to get the job done. He might have to die a few times while at it, but that wasn't a problem. I have 3 4th-rank pets and a 3rd-rank one. Can you get them all to a level equal to the lightning rats? Xuanhuan was already paying because she didn't want Su Ping to suddenly change his mind. Of course not. The lightning rat was an exception. I provide normal training most of the time. Xuanhuan knew that getting 4 lightning rat-like pets in one go could only be a dream, but it still felt bad when Su Ping pointed it out. Also, she wondered if the lightning rat was a unique case used for attracting customers, while the true trainer had already left the shop. Or, it could be worse, all of it being a lie. Xuanhuan might have been a paid shill who helped the shop with false advertisement. Su Ping didn't know what Xuanhuan was thinking, but it couldn't be anything good to his business. Normal training still has decent effects, you know. Do you want to buy it or not? Really? Xuanhuan shook her head. If there used to be something good here, Xuanhuan already took it. Damn it. I'll entrust you with 1 pet for now. She didn't want to leave empty-handed. Even if this master trainer was no longer there, this shop could still have some connection. Becoming a customer was a good choice. As for Xuanhuan being a scammer, Xuanhuan didn't believe that to be possible. Xuanhuan would have cooperated with a bigger shop if that were the case. Su Ping felt bad that the sale was suddenly reduced to a quarter, though he couldn't force his customer. Fine. Ping. Pong. Emergency mission. The system suddenly announced in his head. A customer has withdrawn her order due to mistrust, resulting in decreased revenue. On this special occasion, the host shall be allowed to initiate a specialized training session. Price: 100 times the usual price of a normal training session. Time limit: 30 days. Requirement: customer's pet must reach an aptitude of above average. Reward: 1 intermediate force pellet plus a mythical technique tutorial chosen at random. Penalty for failure: host rating reduced by 10. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 95. A handy status. Improving a pet's aptitude from low to above average meant tripling its combat strength rating or more, which was also what happened to the lightning rat. However, the price for a specialized training session was only 10,000 when Su Ping trained Xuanhuan's lightning rat back then. He could have gotten $1 million if this mission came up earlier. Shit. All the money I missed. Su Ping felt his heart bleed. The time limit for this mission was acceptable, though. A month should be enough. Apparently, the system was aware that he could no longer enter cultivation planes for free or die without suffering any losses. He did need to take his time in an ordinary plane. Seeing Xuanhuan already paying with her phone, he quickly told her to stop. What's the problem? She asked. It's possible for me to repeat what happened to the lightning rat, but it'll cost ya a lot. In fact, $1 million was usually enough to directly buy the egg of an upper 7th-rank pet. The owner of the pet still needed more money and resources to train it later, but the pet would grow up sooner or later. Eventually, a full-fledged 7th-rank pet would have its price elevated to several million, which was enough to buy a house in the middle of a big city. Can you? Xuanhuan brimmed with joy. How much exactly? Specialized training is worth 100 times. That will be $1 million for low-rank pets, and $10 million for middle rankers. $1 million. Xuanhuan gave him a doubtful look. If I pay that kind of money, can you really train a low-rank pet as powerful as Xuanhuan's lightning rat? You were there to watch the match. That thing knocked out a 7th-rank silver-winged dragon. Did you ever learn that the outcome of any battle is not only dependent on pet ranks? Why do we need battle pet warriors otherwise? The lightning rat was a lower 7th rank who has gained a lot of combat experience, while that dragon is, well, not so experienced. It has a strong body, but it's still unable to put it to use. Your augmentation skills and your commands are all vital to your victory. What I'm saying is, I can teach the same things to your pets, but it relies on you whether they can defeat a silver wings dragon or something similar. Jiang Hanbing was taken aback as she didn't think Su Ping could speak so wisely. She came from a good family, yet 10 million was no small number to her. Even 1 million was not something she could throw away lightly, because that was all she could save up in a year by working hard. Mister, are you absolutely sure that my pets will be able to beat up ordinary high-rank pets after being trained by you? If I don't mess up as their master, that is. That's not a problem. Jiang Hanbing looked around the shop and widened her eyes slightly when she read some of the price tags. Do you own this shop or are you running it in someone else's stead? Su Ping knew the woman was worried that he'd take her money and ditch the shop. It's my shop. May I take a look at your house deed? That was an odd question, but Jiang Hanbing found it necessary to see the proof. The lower town was not a very secure area. She would have a hard time trying to catch a thief. Su Ping chuckled. If you mistrust me, you can check the website of your school. Apart from owning this shop, I'm also an honorary professor of the academy. They just hired me. He was glad he accepted the vice principal's offer. Such a status was quite handy. You're a professor. Jiang Hanbing stared at him. That's impossible. Only advanced battle pet warriors are allowed. Just take a look at the web. You'll see. Jiang Hanbing quickly checked her phone until she found the page showing the names of registered personnel. In the Advanced Teacher section, she found 5 entries instead of 4 as she remembered. The extra one was none other than Su Ping, with his picture. But, what? Jiang Hanbing stuttered and almost dropped her phone on the floor. Then she looked up and down several times to make sure she was talking to the same person as shown in the portrait. You're a professor. They accepted someone so young as a professor. Come on. If you're still unconvinced, you can phone your vice principal. He'll tell you. Of course Jiang Hanbing couldn't bother the vice principal for this. No one had the courage to sabotage the academy's page so openly, and even if they did, the incorrect part would not stay there for long. She didn't believe Su Ping had what it takes to temporarily manipulate the roster just to fool her. But what kind of godly genius can be employed as an advanced teacher of the academy while barely reaching adult age? In the past few days, Jiang Hanbing had felt so terrible since her confidence had been mercilessly mauled over and over. Apart from losing in the quarterfinals, she saw too many talented folk better than her. That Yihao even possessed a 7th-rank dragon-type pet. And yet, all those were nothing compared to what she had just witnessed in this seemingly inconspicuous shop. End of the chapter. Astral Pets Store will be read in 5 chapters for every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.